Hello friends, thank you for checking in with me today. Today is the 14th of August and yesterday was the 13th. I had my last Taxotere, so my last chemotherapy. Woo! I totally rang the bell and I will post a video on Carrying Bridge if that site is even still working. But it was great, it was exciting. I had my friend Alyssa there, and she's been taking me a lot lately, so that was really nice to have her again. And then Sarah even was able to show up, so we got some good angles and videos, and I felt good and supported. And I made sure to go over to my favorite nurse, Karen. I love her, and gave her a big hug and told her she was my favorite. But I'm not gone, so I was like, well, you guys will see me next week. So I still have Herceptin and Perjeta. It's a 52-week treatment, so Herceptin's every week and then Perjeta's every 21 days. So I'll still be going into Messino. I'm not done my treatments yet, but I am done the chemo section as far as what the plan was. So it feels like a big relief. I'm holding up well today. I saw 5 patients today and it was good. I had great energy, felt good. I did do an enema this morning because I was worried I wouldn't feel good, but I am fine. So far I'm doing really good. So, yay. I guess I'm holding in there. I would say I was a little disappointed yesterday because I was supposed to have my echo first thing in the morning. So we showed up at 10 for my echo and they didn't have it on the schedule, even though it's been on the schedule for over a month now. So I don't know what's going on with that. The woman at the desk said, it looks like the order's in, but now it's placed outside of this building, so they were going to send me to Mission, and I said, I've done all of them here. Why am I being sent out now? She didn't have an answer, but they figured it out, and they got me in for next week, I think. So you still have to kind of push for yourself, but it was frustrating because, I feel like the week before we wasted a lot of time, and the whole day was just kind of blown because they're not running very efficiently and they're really overloaded, and I see that. But it feels, you feel very much like a number when you're in a system like this, and you can't help but only feel that you're just a number when they have hiccups like this. So we'll just get it checked out next week and that'll work out fine. But I am meeting with my surgeon on Monday the 19th, so that's next Monday. Dr. LeBlanc, and I'm really hoping that she is going to say I'm a candidate for surgery. I've put all of my eggs into that basket, so I'm really hoping she's still on board. She's up with the new research and still open to doing surgery on a stage 4 patient. Because I've met quite a few now that they said they were stage 4 out of the gate and nobody will touch them. So, it's like one of those things that, then they clear their cancer, but they still have the tumor, and then wait a few months or a year and it goes to the other breast or into this woman I was just talking to at the clinic. It went to her from her left breast to her right breast and then into her sternum, her rib cage, and her jaw. And she's my age. So I didn't get to hear all of her story. She was at the Mistletoe Clinic coming from Kansas, so she had ways to travel. So she's just there for like maybe the week or so. And I'm not going to see her Monday. I usually go Mondays, but I'm going to be in with Dr. LeBlanc. So kind of bummed. I would have liked to hear her story more, but I did get her email and I sent her some of the information I've been coming across. So I'm trying to share everything I'm finding that I think might be helpful. I did pull the trigger and I got the Brown's gas machine. Hasn't come in yet, so I'll keep you all posted. I did learn that that's not really a popular conversation to have about Brown's gas, obviously controversial, but there's some great research behind it. So usually things that are controversial pique my interest because they tend to have some validity behind them. So the only way to really know is to try it yourself. So I'm going to give it a shot myself. And at the very least, it has great studies with plants. So it can help plants really thrive. It has great studies with a lot of things, but at the very least, I'll just water my plants. But I will hopefully be getting a lot of hydrogen benefit. Not just from hydrogen water, it's the splitting. The Brown's gas has this whole electrically charged EZ zone. They just put a membrane in between where they split oxygen and hydrogen. And this simple little membrane, it's not an expensive device. This simple little membrane creates this, this zone of electrical charge, essentially. And there's a lot of conversation about how that is what's active in our capillaries. And maybe part of our issue with like varicose veins and other things is because we start having this improperly charged surfaces, so things don't glide properly, they're not transported properly. You know, it's not really the heart is not the only pump in the body. It's just a terrible way of teaching people anatomy. But structurally, you know, that's what people can grasp, so we hold on to the pump idea. It's just not. It's not the sole pump. It's just not. So that should be good. If you have a heart issue, you should be like, okay, well, I have other things at play that's not just, you know, the full burden on this one organ. So anyway, it's the same idea as how trees suck water up. So interesting things to learn. I'll have more information as I use that device, but I shared it with a couple of my stage 4 crew over at the Mistletoe Clinic. So hopefully you guys are still enjoying these videos. I'm going to try to make them a little shorter. I've been told some of them are a little long and can get boring, and I'm sorry if that's how you feel. If you don't have cancer or the issues that I've been discussing, then these are probably a real drag on. I haven't gone back and listened to a lot of my videos because who's got time? I'm making them and I'm living life. So this is, again, a journal of what I'm going through, and simply if it helps you, I'm putting it out there. I'm not trying to get the biggest amount of views. I'm not, you know, putting out there big catchy titles and promising things I can't promise and saying things are miracles when they're just a piece of the puzzle. I'm not trying to satiate, you know, this in some extraordinary way so that I get a bunch of followers. It's not what this is about to me. I'm putting this out here, especially at this point. I'm just trying to get this information out. I'm not going to go and edit these videos. I'm either going to just stop it and start again, or just, you know, put it out there and see what people say. But hopefully those of you that are following along are finding good information, and you're passing some of this on to maybe family members or friends that you know that might be struggling with some hard diagnoses. Because a lot of the stuff I'm learning isn't just about cancer. A lot of this stuff needs to address all the issues, all the circadian rhythm issues of the body, and why we have all of these really, you know, mysterious, poorly diagnosed, terribly described, you know, umbrella term diagnoses that most of the doctors don't even know what they're talking about when they talk about them. So I think a lot of this can transfer to everyone's life personally, especially if you think you're healthy, because you may not be as healthy as you think. You know, there's almost no way to know how much of a toxic burden we're all holding as well, just from the fact that all these chemicals are being put out all the time, and they're in all this packaging and, you know, all the stuff. So hopefully you guys find this helpful. I will be adding a few things that I'm going to do for the gadolinium detox. There's a couple solutions. They still haven't come in the mail. I guess they got sent back. So I'm unable to show you that today, and there are a few letters I can't remember, so I can't even talk about it. But I have started back with chlorella and spirulina. Chlorella in particular is a good detoxer, and I know that's kind of a hot topic word too, but it's gentle. It's a gentle binder. So chlorella with a C, it's like a blue-green algae. I've been adding that back in right after this last chemo last night and this morning, and I'll do it, you know, for the next, probably for a while now, to try to help my body clear all of this stuff that I've, you know, been put into my body. I wasn't on any heavy metals in particular, unless there's some things I'm not aware of in some of the mixes that I have. It's possible. But I was not on like a platinum drug, which that's a heavy metal. Gadolinium is a neurotoxin, heavy metal. So these things can accumulate and be a problem. They can be fine for the first few, and then, you know, as you get hit with them more and more, they can accumulate, and then they have all this implications on the neuro side of things. So I am definitely going to try to clear that, and I'm only planning to do one of these gadolinium scans so that they can really assess the margin of the skin involvement, so that the surgeon can be as, you know, successful as she can be. So that's the reason I'm doing that. In the meantime, some positive and fun news is Sarah and I have been on a list for a while, and in June 20th, our new furry baby was born. And I haven't told anyone because it's been up in the air for a while. We were third on the list to request a black female miniature schnauzer, and then 2 people dropped out. So we became first on the list, and they had 3 litters coming, and they happened to have 2 black females. They have a little white on them, like a little in the beard, maybe a little in the chest, And the one they just picked for us has a little bit of white on her feet. And so I'm really excited because they just announced that their little girl named Breeze is going to be our little girl, who will be named Juno. So Juno will be welcomed into our family this Friday, the 16th. So tomorrow we're going to hit the road and we're driving to Little Rock, Arkansas. It's about a 10-hour drive. Sarah and I will take turns and we're going to go pick up our new child. And I'm really excited. I think some people might think of a puppy as maybe not the best idea when they're wrapping up chemo and about to think about surgery and recover from cancer in general. But if you've ever had dogs in your life and then yours was taken or passed away, in my opinion, pretty prematurely, it's a pretty sad thing. It's an empty house. And, Lily for me was my stress reliever. So it's hard to not have that when you're used to it, especially when you're going through some really emotional stuff like a terminal illness or life in general has just been kind of stressful. So I'm really looking forward to it because to me, Juno is sort of the light coming into this, and she's going to be just a little bundle of love, and she's not even aware of what she's walking into, but we're really excited. We've been doing some really great classes, this puppy culture class, to get us trained to best train our dog. So this puppy will be coming to my office just like Lily did. And we might go all the way and get her certified so that, we can have the paperwork to cart her around and bring her places. And I'm not a big fan of people bringing dogs in places that they just shouldn't be in, like food establishments and things like that. But it is really hard when you have a dog and it's so hot outside, leaving them in the car, leaving them in your house. It's one of those things, if they're hypoallergenic like a Schnauzer, I think if they're well-behaved dogs, that there should be some allowance there. But I'm not trying to bring her into a bunch of places, but I think it would be easier if we had some certifications to do it. Mostly that I think she could, depending on her demeanor, she could be really great with cancer patients. So maybe that's an outlet for me down the road to process this whole thing for me, and maybe I can, bring some joy into other people's lives. Pet therapy is a real thing. So I know quite a few people who have gotten pets, after their diagnosis, and they sort of call them their cancer dogs or cancer cats or whatever you want to call them. But I think it's a great distraction. I think I'm particularly way too wrapped up into this. I overthink everything. I'm doing research nonstop. So for me to be able to schedule in this puppy culture video, which I find very funny, the woman teaching it is hilarious in my opinion. She's a go-getter, let's say that. But she, I just think it's a good outlet to not be all into cancer all the time. Sarah has really pushed me to start reading books for joy. I don't typically read for enjoyment. I typically read for information and knowledge. So I love books, but I read, pretty boring things, I think, when you look at it. And cancer's not boring, but man, it's depressing. And I had to stop reading it before bed because I was discovering some stuff that I really wish I never saw. Some bad stats, and what are stats even? But it just hit me, and I said it to Sarah, and and she's like, "Why are you even reading that before bed?" And I was like, "I don't know. I feel like I just have this limited amount of time that I have to crunch all this information in my head, and I might miss something, and that thing might be really important. That might keep me alive." I mean, it feels like that. It doesn't feel like I have a lot of people, that knowledgeable in my back pocket. I mean, I have a couple really knowledgeable doctors, but they have a lot of other patients too. So nobody's involved in my case like I am. And I just don't feel like the mainstream oncologist really has anything alternative. I'm sure she's very smart in chemo, but man, doesn't really have much. It seems like not a lot of curiosity on these other pathways. They're still trained that everything in the cancer world is genetic, which has pretty well been defeated as a hypothesis. So it's not all genetic. Genetics can play a factor, but that's like 5 or 10% of all cancers. That's pretty minimal. So anyway, it's just one of those situations where you realize you have to take the struggle into your own hands, and you have to be your own advocate and make your own decisions. And it's probably why I got myself an appointment the next week for the echo, because I said, no, why should I go to another facility and maybe have to pay out of pocket? I've been doing all my echoes here. I had it scheduled today for months. Why is it not on today? Why was I not notified? And of course they didn't have an answer, but I guess the way I pushed enough, they got it scheduled. So hopefully it happens next week. I'm just so used to these things dropping. So yeah, I think a puppy will be a good change. I think I need a little distraction, a little furry baby. So we're gonna pick her up. We're gonna drive there tomorrow and we'll pick her up Friday morning, and we're gonna take our time coming back, but hopefully make it back that day, depending on how she does in the car. I've made these little organic gingerbread cookies, and the only sweetener is molasses in them, and they're human grade, of course, so you can eat them too, but I made them into these little like vertebrae. So I have like a cervical, thoracic, and a lumbar, and they're a little big, so I have to break them up, but that was cute. I've never really baked before. I spent pretty much all Sunday cooking and prepping. I made a bunch of like little egg bites with, I did pork in it, and onions and garlic and some broccoli, and oh man, I had one this morning, delicious, so super good. And I've also perfected, I think I've perfected the coconut macaroon recipe. I finally nailed it. I gave one to Alyssa, and I gave one to my other friend Lauren, and I think I nailed it. It's the best I've done so far. Maybe I'll get better, but I used allulose, which is an alternative sugar. There's some conversation about allulose. It is from plants, and so some people, would argue that it's not safe for us, but it's not that it's unsafe. It's just that it's not recognized by the body. So if you've ever used something like D-mannose for UTIs, D-mannose is a sugar that's not, treated like a sugar. So it doesn't raise your glycemic index. And D-mannose particularly concentrates in the bladder. And if you have E. coli, which is majority of UTIs, it doesn't let the E. coli grab onto the wall. So they just gets, swept out. So that's a cool thing about D-mannose. Allulose also does not affect the glycemic index. So it's safe for diabetics, it's safe for people who are on strict keto or any blood, sugar management. So I gave allulose a shot, and it acts kind of like sugar. It's supposed to, you're supposed to add more allulose than sugar, but I didn't. I added the same amount, if not a little less. I do things on the less side anyway, and they came out great. So really pumped about that. It's just good to have something that's not too bad for you, that you feel like you're getting away with something fun, And for me, coconut macaroons hit all the boxes. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty proud of that. So I will keep you guys updated on how Monday goes. And then, I hope you all wish us luck with this puppy. She'll be 8 weeks old, and just a little bundle of love. And just to totally go down the puppy train for a moment, the reason they chose Breeze for us is they were really waiting to see if this other one, Shade, would come around. And it's cute, we watched the videos, and I was all in for Shade. I was like, Shade's it. She's got the look in her eyes, and she never really made good eye contact in any of the pictures. So I was like, yeah, she's busy. She's awesome. She's cute. And I noticed Breeze. Of course, Breeze is adorable. And then, I saw a video of them. And here's Breeze off on the side getting her face chewed on by another dog, and she's fine with it, which is a good sign. She's very submissive and chill. And here's Shade coming up, and she climbs onto this little balance pad, slides off it, kind of rubs her butt on it, and then stops, smells it, looks at the other dogs, proceeds to do it again. And I was like, of course I've picked the weirdo, the project dog. This is always what I'm always drawn to these, what is my own issue with this? But, obviously all these dogs are going to come out amazing. This breeder is fantastic because they were doing neurostimulation early on. They exposed them to fireworks, dropping pans, vacuuming before the fear centers are developed, which are in the 5th and 8th week of life. So they got these dogs ready, and they got them as sort of this how can they recover from being startled, and they're really prepping them to be therapy dogs, which is pretty cool. So of course we're getting on our 8th week of life, another big milestone of fear development. So we're going to try to just have a nice chill week. My mom, my sister, and my nephew are coming down, which I think could be great because then she'll get exposed to different body shapes and voices and people, just different people. But we're just going to have to be extra tender and realize that she's in a state of fear. She could be, she may not, but this is when it's developed. So you just have to be careful. We don't want to go in and startle her, and there's some guidelines, but I'm excited And my family's going to get to meet her so early on too. And, and we'll just have to figure out all the vaccination stuff because she's not fully vaccinated. So I have to be really careful about bringing her outside. If there's a whole thing with that. So I'm learning, and we just got to make it through the first few weeks, and then hopefully she'll be in the clear and we can introduce her to more dogs and do puppy classes and get her nice and socialized. So I'm really excited. I feel like I'm on the other side of this in some weird way. I know I'm not. I know it's never done, but I feel like I am seeing some light at the end of the tunnel here. And I'm really hopeful that my meeting with LeBlanc will go well. Though I'm really hoping it'll be a nice, smooth. My appointment was in the morning. They moved me to 2 in the afternoon because she's doing a surgery that morning. It's of course a full moon, so I'm really hoping that she doesn't have a bad surgery. It could be a bloody one. I don't know. I might have to bring this woman a macaroon and get her sweetened up first, so she's in a nice, positive mood and feeling optimistic about my surgery. So I'm really hoping she's had lunch and she's feeling like she's ready to start fresh. I don't know. We'll find out. Hopefully it's not a bad experience and she looks at me like, absolutely not. I'm not going to do that with you. But if that happens, I'm going to keep this search on and we'll find a surgeon that can do it. That's all we can do. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I hope you guys are doing what you're doing. And thank you so much for tuning in today and listening to me rant on about my adorable furry baby that I will put in one of these videos at some point. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your week.